Thank you. Okay, so on the 1st of July this year, the Department of Immigration and Border Protection, or DIBP, will be introducing a new simplified student visa framework, the SSVF. This is intended to support the growth of Australia's international education sector. The intention is to make the application for student visas simpler for genuine students. It's intended to deliver a more targeted approach for immigration integrity, and it's going to reduce red tape for visa applicants, education institution providers, and for the Department of Immigration. The key changes under this new framework are that international students will now apply for a single type of student visa, the subclass 500, regardless of the chosen course of study. At the moment, there are 7 different visa categories, and those are going to be merged into a single new visa. There will be one other visa category that will be relevant, and that will be for student guardians. That's the parents of someone who will be coming to study in Australia, and the guardian can get a different type of visa under the subclass 590. I won't focus on that too much. There's going to be the introduction of a single immigration risk framework that will cover English language and financial criteria for international students. And the other thing to mention really from the outset, if you already hold an existing student visa in one of the old visa classes 570 to 576, that's going to remain valid and your visa conditions will not change. The only thing that you would need to do if your visa is going to expire is then renew the visa under one of the old visa categories. Okay. A big thing with the Department of Immigration, this has already existed and it will continue to be a major factor, is the genuine temporary entrant requirement. Again, as some of you will know, the genuine temporary entrant criteria, the GTE criteria, will apply to all student visa applicants, and it looks at whether the individual circumstances of the student indicate whether their intention is for a genuine temporary stay in Australia. The Department of Immigration doesn't want people using student visas to come to Australia for work purposes or to continue a relationship or whatever it may be. They will be carrying out a genuineness assessment that takes into account a number of personal factors relating to the student, such as their immigration history, the circumstances in the home country, and any conditions that might encourage them to want to remain in Australia. We are hearing of many student visa applications that are being refused because of the genuine temporary entrant criteria. Hopefully we can avoid you having a refusal if that's addressed properly from the outset. Just anecdotally, we're hearing of particular cases where there are perhaps mature age students, applicants who've held other Australian visas, or where a course of study doesn't follow a natural progression of professional development for the individual. So by way of example, a student who's already got some qualifications as a hairdresser and is going on in salon management or something like that would be an appropriate career development. But if you've already got a master's degree in teaching, and you now want to do a diploma in commercial cookery, well, the Department of Immigration might look at that and think, well, that doesn't form a logical pathway, and you would have to explain why you want to do that. Okay. Before you can apply for a student visa application, international students will generally need to be enrolled into a registered full-time course of study, and you're going to need to provide a confirmation of enrolment when you lodge the visa application. For students in Australia, it may still be possible to lodge the visa application with an invitation from a college, but you will need the confirmation of enrolment before the application can be finalised. Okay, so we've got this single immigration risk framework the Department of Immigration will be introducing. It's going to apply to all international students and will replace the previous. Sorry, I'm just going to mute. I've got a lot of background noise coming in from you. I'm just going to mute your. If I can, just bear with me 1 second. Right, can you all still hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. Okay, thank you. I've muted all your microphones. I was getting some feedback or some static from one of you. I don't know who it was, so I now can't hear you. So if you want to shout, just wave at me and I'll unmute you. Okay, so we've got this single immigration risk framework that will apply to all international students. It's going to replace the old visa processing and assessment level framework. So you might be familiar with assessment levels 1, 2, 3, 4 that applied to international students. What the Department of Immigration will be doing is using a matrix based on the education provider and the nationality of the visa applicant. And that will be used to guide what evidence is going to be necessary to prove your English language and your financial capacity that's required for the visa application. So you go onto the Department of Immigration website, you look to see that you're going to be studying at Curtin University of Technology and that you're coming from Singapore, and then it will take you to a section that says, for that combination with that college and that nationality, these are the documentation that you need to provide for English and financial criteria. For students with the lowest immigration risk, there will be a relatively streamlined process for financial capacity, a declaration that you've got access to the necessary funds, and for English language criteria, a confirmation of enrolment from the college, which shows that you meet the education provider's English language requirement. And that, in its simplest form, should be enough to satisfy the Department of Immigration if you're in that lowest immigration risk group. On the other hand, if you're in a higher immigration risk category, you'll need to provide more evidence of your financial capacity and your English language ability. So the financial criteria, first of all. So students are going to need to provide evidence of one of the following forms of financial criteria. First of all, you will need to demonstrate that you have a specified annual income, which is demonstrated using official documents such as tax assessments, or pay slips, or contracts of employment or similar. The income amounts will be for a single student coming by themselves, 60,000 Australian dollars, or for a student with dependent family members, an annual income of at least $70,000, depending on the circumstances. That's one option. The second option is to provide evidence that you've already got access to available funds to cover your travel to Australia, at least 12 months living expenses, your course fees, and school costs for any school-age dependents. Relevant evidence would include money deposits, a government or a bank loan, a scholarship from the Australian government or from your home government, or sponsorship from an eligible family member. The living costs, so you need to calculate what the total course fees are, you need to calculate the cost of your flights to Australia, and then you add on your living costs. For the main student, that is going to be set initially at $19,830 per annum, $6,940 for your partner, and then $2,970 for each child. So you add all of those up, depending on how many people there are in the family unit, and you provide evidence that you've got funds in the bank or from a family member to cover that amount. The final one, which I'll mention for completeness, it's not going to come up very often, would be an acceptance advice for a secondary exchange student. It doesn't crop up very often, so I won't go into that. All right, now for English language criteria, as I mentioned before, if you're in the lower risk category, it should just be the confirmation of enrolment that says you've met the university requirement, and you shouldn't need to provide anything further. If you're from a higher immigration risk category, you're going to need to provide evidence of your English language, and that would be either one of the acceptable English language tests, an IELTS test, a TOEFL test, a Pearson, occupational English test, or the Cambridge test, that's been completed in the last 2 years. As an example, an IELTS test score of 5.5 would normally be required if you're going straight into your main course of study. If you do an English language course in Australia first, an ELICOS course, you can get away with a lower English language score in your IELTS test. Each of the tests have got their different pass marks, so I won't go into all of them now. That's available if you need to contact us. So, evidence of your English language ability. That would need to be attached at time of lodgement of the visa application. Your alternatives to that would be if you're enrolled in a full-time course of study as a primary school or high school student, or if you've completed 5 years of study in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, or the Republic of Ireland, or if you're a citizen or passport holder of the UK, the USA, Canada, New Zealand, or Ireland, or you've completed certain studies in Australia previously. Perhaps you were here with family, you completed high school or a certificate 4 or something like that, and then went on to be an international student in your own right at a later date. You should then be exempted from the English language criteria. Okay, I wanted to briefly mention the likely processing time for student visa applications. At the moment, around about a month is normal, sometimes a little bit faster, but you should certainly allow as long as possible before to lodge the application and get the application finalised so that you can get to Australia and get settled in before your course is due to start. The key costs for the Department of Immigration are $550 for the main visa applicant, $410 for each additional adult, and $135 for each additional child that's included on the application. Our professional fee, if we look after the visa application for you, will be between $1,500 to $2,500, depending on the circumstances. You're also going to need, of course, to cover the cost of health checks, police clearances, translations of documents that are not already in English, your English language tests, and any other costs that might be incurred. And of course, the big one, the cost of your international course fees at the educational institution. As you probably know, course fees can be very expensive, ranging from probably $12,000 per year as a minimum, up to $40,000 to $45,000 per year if you're doing a higher degree, especially in vet medicine, vet science, and so on. Visa Solutions Australia can help you with an application in a number of ways. First of all, we can assist you with enrolment in a suitable course. We can hopefully help reduce overall processing times. This can be an expensive process. If you get it wrong and if you're refused a visa, you may not be eligible to reapply. Even if you can reapply, you might miss the expected start date. You may have given up work in expectation of coming to Australia straight away. So you want to make sure that it is prepared as thoroughly and as carefully as possible to give yourself the best chance of success. Our mission, our aim here is to make sure that you get the right visa at the right price and in a timely manner. We do deal with a broad range of people from all over the world. We do understand that there are cultural differences that apply, so we will always try and take those into account when we're dealing with you. We're all migrants here. The 4 key staff members are respectively from the UK, for myself. The principal of the business is originally from Pakistan. Zahira is from Singapore, and Miguel is from the Philippines. So we know what you're going through. We're always ethical, we're on your side. Everything you tell us regarding your application is confidential, and we don't release that information without consent. Even then, it will only go to the Department of Immigration or possibly to an educational institution provider. Dealing with the Department of Immigration can be daunting, it can be challenging. So let us help you. We'll work hard on your behalf, and hopefully you'll be able to get your student visa application underway as soon as possible, and get over to Australia and start your studies at the earliest possible opportunity. Okay, that's really covered what I wanted to cover on the webinar for today. If you've got any questions, let me know. Perhaps type them in. I'll unmute you. Just give me a second, and then I can probably hear any questions. Okay, now you're unmuted, so if you all ask me questions at the same time, I'm not going to be able to deal with them. So hold your hands up or wave at me, and then fire away with a question. Elaine?
Yes, I want to know if we are holding a student visa, can we buy a property here to stay?
All right, so for others participating, I don't know whether you could hear that question. The question was, can you, as the holder of a student visa, purchase property in Australia? It's a good question.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a good question. It's you need to, as the holder of a temporary resident visa, you need to get approval to buy property from the Foreign Investment Review branch of the Australian Treasury. That would normally be given if you're buying a brand new property or a block of land and you're building. It may not be approved if you're buying an existing home. You would have to put in a formal application. But the short answer is you are likely to be able to buy property, yes, especially if it's going to be a brand new house.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any other questions? Danny Martin, this, as I say, doesn't really affect you other than from a sort of an interest point of view, because your application's already in the system and being processed. Joseph, I'm not sure of your situation.
Actually, I'm working on my student dependent visa at the moment. My spouse trying to get one of those. I'm wondering what's the criteria for that.
Okay, so Joseph's question is what happens to add his dependent partner onto his existing student visa application? I think that's correct.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so Joseph will already hold one of the existing visas. We should be able to add the partner onto that application if she was previously declared as a partner, or if there's been a recent wedding. We should certainly be able to do that, and that would fall under the existing visa as a dependent family member. It won't fall under the new criteria and the new framework.
Right.
Right. Joseph, what I might do though is get back to you on that one and just explain in more detail exactly how we would do that.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So unless anyone's got any other query, we can probably leave it at that for today. You let me know, send us an email or like us on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we can deal with any queries as they go on. My direct email address is andrew@visasolutions.com.au. You should be able to get us at any time. And we can look forward to progressing student visa application for you.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for listening in. Look forward to catching up with you all soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the best. Cheers. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Malaysia, your viewing and remote screen, okay. Exit full screen. How? You see? They meet.